And a number of studies have identified a relationship between the positive psychological capital of employees and desirable outcomes, given current and projected shortages of drivers that could become the Achilles heel of the global supply chain. The purpose of this paper is to test whether how drivers' attitude and psychological capital relates to their intention to quit. Uh, Basically, it's about the indispensability or the importance of the tractor drivers. I can show you the model, which is quite simple. Here we have the psychological capital, the psychological strength or their nerves, how much they are strong with their nerves, satisfaction, turnover, quite common variable. But how the study is important, significant, well, here we got the purpose of the study. I'm just going to read out which is relevant with us. The truck industry offers a distinct work environment that has not been assessed in psychological capital research, exploring the relationship between positive psychological capital and turnover rates within this quarter offers a theoretical extension to the boundary condition of work within the scientific paradigm. The trucking industry offers a distinct work environment because in European and in America, the truck or the logistics companies, especially the drivers, and they are earning a lot. So this particular industry is quite important for them. Same variable, a different industry, a unique industry, and the research was published, got a space in a very good journal. So, well, moving forward now, we have the cultural context. Basically, it's not a very vibrant idea to conduct a research, and there are some reasons I'm going to brief in a detail later. Cultural context, various authors and experts such as Hofstede and Rory and Poon and Sai, so what they said, they asserted that theories and implications originated from one cultural setting could not be applied to other environment by disregarding the culture of the country. The contextual significance of the phenomena and research model is important. Precisely, the author said, if the findings are emerged in a one country, maybe from Australia, so you cannot replicate the same findings in other country because there are a lot of cultural dissimilarities. And Hofstede, he provided the dimensions, the indicators. If you find these indicators are different from your country, then you cannot replicate them. You cannot generalize the findings into your country. So for that, you have to conduct the research, maybe of the same model in your country. The idea was good, but there are some criticism and a lot of critique is already there on this kind of thought. But that is a way to go for the gap. Basically, the dimensions or the calculation is given on the website. You can find on the Hofstede website, and you can find the cultural similarities and dissimilarities. So if you find the cultural dissimilarities, you cannot replicate the findings. So precisely, one should consider the cultural dissimilarities among societies and nations before applying any concept or theory to other culture. Well, students, for you, for your understanding, again, I got an example, a double-edged sword exploring the curvilinear relationship between organizational tenure diversity and team innovation, the moderating role of team-oriented HR practices. The paper is published, and here we have the author detail, then the introduction, and finally the in introduction we have here is the model. The model is again quite simple. Organizational tenure diversity, team oriented HR practices are the moderator, and team innovation is the dependent variable. And finally, because past studies that examine the relation between diversity and team outcomes have mainly investigated in North America, Conrad has appealed for more study to test whether the North American diversity model can be generalized into other cultural settings. So basically, some author they recommended to test the diversity kind of issues into other countries. So is examining the same kind of issue in some other cultural setting. And even I got another paper for you, and paper was published in the Journal of Management. Here we got the detail. Basically, combined effects of perceived politics and psychological capital on job satisfaction, turnover, intention, and performance. The paper was published in a very reputable journal. In addition, it is important to note that the majority of studies in this domain of research have been conducted in developed countries of North America and Europe. And to size in 2007 suggested that unless we test the theories largely developed in the United States in non-Western setting, researchers and practitioners will have little confidence about their generalizability in other regions. We believe that our study addresses this gap as it provides a rare opportunity to examine the applicability and validity of concepts largely developed in the Western culture. So again, he is adding a novelty of the research, like the models, such kind of models were developed in some other countries, and he is testing the same kind of issues roughly in another or the developing world. So this can also be an area to find a research gap. Then coming over to the methodological gap, and here again we got two different ways to justify your research: instrument or measures. An instrument is a tool used to collect data from respondents. For most social and behavior surveys, the instrument involves a questionnaire that provides a script for presenting a standard set of questions and response options, but options may include interviews, observation, experiment. This simply means the studies were conducted based on the survey. You are going to conduct a study based on observation, or maybe the study was based on the interview survey, so you are going to incorporate the questionnaire survey. There can be many ways, different ways to justify your topic. And uh, keep in mind, students, uh, in methodology, like we have different ways. It's about the instrument, or later we can have some differentiation in terms of who is reporting the data, or maybe the time lag kind of things, cross sectional or the longitudinal study. But for your understanding, again, I have an example. So here's the paper: consequences of work family conflict on employee well-being over time. I'm going to read the abstract. The effects of work family conflict on the well being of a diverse sample of 342 non professional employees from the greater Los Angeles area were examined. Data were collected at 2 points in time, and a rigorous research design was employed. The effects of self report bias were considered by controlling for a social desirability bias and by collecting two sources of data, that is self-reports and co-worker reports. The results revealed that work-family conflict predicted employee well-being over and above social desirability bias. In addition, analyses were consistent when both self-reports and co-worker reports were utilized. Finally, the work-family conflict was a longitudinal predictor of employees' positive well-being. Both cross-sectional and longitudinal analysis were consistent across self-reports and co-worker reports. So students, well, from the topic, I can easily understand the variables. It's about work-family conflict as an independent variable, and employee well-being is a dependent variable. And what the author is saying, uh, the author is highlighting most studies on work family conflict examine models of stressors and contribution to various personal and organizational outcomes. All right. And well, here we got some evidence. There is evidence that multiple roles lead to perception of the conflict. So basically, here he is talking about work family conflict. When you work family conflict means when you have to perform different role. Your role at home is different from your official role. So think about what you are doing and how you are behaving in your office and how you are behaving at your home. So but you have to take care all of those roles. You have to be in office, you have to be with your family, but when you are spending more of your time with your family, you don't have time for your official life, then obviously it's a problem. Maybe your official time is or official commitment, they are intervening into your family commitment, so we call it the work to family life or work to family conflict. And here he is basically talking about the work to family conflict. So, work to family conflict and overload have negative repercussions for the well-being and performance of the employee. So, according to these authors, if there is the work to family conflict, work to work-life conflict or anything like that, then it's going to have the negative impact and on the well-being and the performance. So simply stated, the relationship is already been investigated quite a number of times, 1988, 91, 1986. But we are more concerned with how this study was different or what novelty he was exercising. Specifically, many studies within this area have been based solely on cross-sectional or self-report data. So, what he's saying, majority of studies in this area they took data at a one point of time, and secondly, they were getting the data from the self-reports, like from the one or a single report. While all of these author acknowledge the limitation and cross-sectional and self-report data, with the exception of the few studies, there are few studies where we had the methodological rigor or a methodological soundness, but majority of studies were about the same kind of approach, and that is cross-sectional or the self-report kind of data. Thus, the purpose of this current research paper is to empirically test the relationship between work-family conflict and employee well-being using analysis strategies that will control for some of these problems. Right? The data were collected at the 2 points in time. So, students, well, what the author did in this case. So here I got the differentiation. In summary, this research evidence strongly suggests that work-family conflict is related to employee health and well-being. However, in order to extend the work-family literature, it is beneficial to consider the consequences of work-family conflict over time while controlling for problems associated with self-report bias. Thus, the purpose of this current study is to explore the effects of work-family conflict while controlling for one type of the self-report bias, and there is a way how he controls this bias. Examine the immediate effect of work-family conflict as well as effects 6 months later. So now here he is talking about the longitudinal design. The data was not collected on a one point of time, rather he collected data on two different point of time with the 6 month time lag. And then to employ a rigorous research design that incorporates multiple sources of the data. Sorry. So, well, what I can see, I can find a lot of methodological methodological differentiation or soundness. The methodology is too good. And here, even in the abstract, the author is saying, like at one side, what he did, he got data from the multiple sources, like the both self reports, the co-worker reports were utilized. I'm going to get the data from other than the respondent. I'm not, uh, I'm not explaining my leadership style. Rather, my subordinates are supposed to tell about what kind of leader I am. And then it was the longitudinal study, and then there was a way to uh, go for the longitudinal as well as the peer reports or the observer reported data. And how he controls the self-serving biases. Basically, these are the issues when the results or you are getting the results because of the analytical or procedural limitations, right? And finally, what we got, the study tool for data collection or the time spent. No, student, I told you it can be any kind of the rigor in your methodology. Now that rigor can be in terms of you are using a different tool, you are using a different time span. It can be a time lag. You are collecting data at a different point of time, like you are collecting data about your independent variable today, and later after a month or 15 days you are collecting data about the mediator, and then after 15 days or a month for the dependent variables, or you can collect that data about your model at a two or three different points of time, and then you can compare if time is playing any role or not, or you are getting the consistent results. Or it can be about how you are collecting data or from whom you are collecting data. Is it going to be self-reported or reported by your peers or the co-workers? So all it depends how you are taking your research. Basically, any novelty or anything which can value your research based on methodology, research design can also be an area where you can emphasize. So, students, what do you think? Which approach you are going to follow to identify research gap? Well, my suggestion is to go for the theoretical researches where you are contributing more towards the knowledge. That's for sure. If you are highlighting the research gap based on the methodology or methodological design, then basically what has been said, you are just confirming. uh, Even it's about the cultural, it's about the methodological context, but it's about what has been said and you are confirming. So you are reconfirming what people already know. And keep in mind the theory, anything what you can contribute towards the knowledge, it has more importance, more significance. But my last comment can be about this about research gap is you should go and look for the research gap in terms of the theoretical missing elements or theoretically driven research gap. If you are incorporating a good theoretical gaps, you can also add the rigor in terms of methodology or the context. For example, you should always work on the theoretical gap, but as you test the model which is theoretically significant, so you can also apply the model into different population. You and the population can be a public organization, or it can be a police department, project organization, hospitality industry. So you have number of choices, and you can also add a rigor in terms of the methodology. You can divide data into different temporal design, like today after 15 days, and you can also collect data from the observers, like maybe the colleague, maybe the subordinate, or maybe the leader or the manager. So what I told you, it's about you are the lawyer and you have to present your case, and you should have a lot of arguments, the theoretical significance, the methodological rigor, and also the context of the research. So basically you have to convince your reviewer that you had all the reasons to conduct the research. And then the final is about the future direction. Students, there are two ways. Either you can review a lot of literature to figure out the research gap. The other side is maybe you find it difficult to look for the research gap. Uh, the easiest, if you are short of time, then you can look for the researches published in authentic journals in a recent past, and they can also give you an idea. researches, they have a separate content or a heading about the future direction. Like I have completed or I have done up to this point, so anyone who's interested in the same kind of topic, he can work in the same direction with these variables in the mind. Future directions can be about anything. It can be the methodology someone can use, or it can be the context, or it can be the theoretical addition in the model. Like we have incorporated these variables, so someone can come up the moderator, or he can even highlight the moderators. So the point is, if you have to look for the topic, you can consult different papers, different researches, and in the end it can be a separate portion, or it can be the part of limitation, and where you can find someone can work in these areas, and the areas researchers prescribe, they can be the methodology or methodological areas, or the theoretical areas, or the contextual areas. But again, my suggestion is to always go for the theoretical side. If you can contribute towards the theory, then that literally makes your research quite significant. And what the authors are saying, future direction, commonly the last part of the research paper thesis, indicating the area, variable, or topic which may further be explored leading from the study conducted by the author. Future directions are important as it follows a thread. Any authentic, so these are the conditions. You have to create a boundary condition. Students, keep in mind when you are going for the future directions, then authentic papers published in a quality journals. So the journals, uh, those who are indexed with the those who got a good indexing, those who got a good indexation with an agency, so they should be considered. It's not about anything you find on a Google Scholar, so you're following the future direction. That is not the case. That is not the ideal way. And I would suggest the meta analysis or integrative review or systematic review can provide the best support in this regard. So the my humble suggestion is to go for the authentic database. It's not everything is available on the internet can be the source. First foremost is the quality research. So quality research, what's the instrument we have to know the quality research, and that is if it's published with a good journal. And second one, it's an opinion. Better is to consult the meta-analysis, integrative review, or systematic review of the topic which you are interested. That can be an idea, but it's not an absolute condition. Keep in mind, it's all about the paper, but following the future directions of the meta-analysis of such kind of papers or researches can always be quite compelling in nature. And then the researcher needs to explore current and contemporary papers published in the best journals to get an idea about where to proceed from future directions. Secondly, try to be also conscious about something which is published in a recent past. Maybe it's 2020, so something which published in a 2018 or maximum 17 can be a good way. Anything which was published in 2005 or 6 cannot be a pertinent area, because there's been so much, time passed over, and someone must have worked on it. Maybe you don't know, but there's been some intent. And secondly, you have to work on the contemporary issues, the modern issues, the challenges, what the corporate world or the management is facing in this environment. They are quite different from what the management were facing in 2005. So these are two of the suggestions, but I just now take you to some examples how we follow the future direction. Students, here you can see a paper, transformational leadership and organizational commitment, mediating role of psychological empowerment and moderating role of structural distance. The paper was published in the Journal of Organizational Behavior, so all the details are given over here. But for you, this model is important. Transformational leadership is leading towards organizational commitment. Transformational leadership has a positive impact on the organizational commitment with psychological empowerment as a mediator. So basically, transformational leader going to enhance the psychological empowerment of the employees, and which further helps to enhance the organizational commitment. And structural distance can moderate this relationship, right? I'm more interested with the future directions. Future research also needs to explore the effects of variables that were not measured in the current study, which can also directly or indirectly influence feelings of empowerment, such as organization structure, climate, or culture. So they can be the area. Anyone can take these variables directly or indirectly. For example, the author is saying uh, which can also directly or indirectly influence feelings of empowerment, such as organization. So these are the areas or the theoretical gap he's highlighting. Someone can work on it. And what else he's saying? In addition, interviewing each level of supervision might provide insight into why lower level leaders was not perceived as empowering their direct followers. So the second point or the future direction is about the methodological way out or way forward. You can work in methodological sense as well. And he has also highlighted another kind of gap. Future research also needs to collect ratings of the leadership empowerment outcomes from the multiple sources over time to adequately test the mediating effects of psychological capital. So one can also collect data from multiple sources. What he is saying, multiple sources from what I told you, the leader, the followers, and maybe someone else. And over time, so maybe you can conduct a time-like study or the longitudinal study. What I told you, it can be anything. They can recommend you to make some innovation in terms of the methodology, or it can be about the population. But my recommendation is to go for the theoretical gap. Future research needs to explore the effects of variables that were not measured in the current study, which can directly or indirectly influence the feelings of the empowerment. So the idea is, here we got the feeling of the empowerment, psychological empowerment. So one can work on, maybe we can add a mediator over here. The mediator he's suggesting, or preferably the the moderator, right? So it's up to you. If you feel it's pertinent, it's compelling idea, so you can work on it, then. Or otherwise, one should explore the variables or the topic of the interest and keep on reading the future directions. If you find any compelling idea, so you can work on that. Or the other side, you should keep on reviewing the literature. If you want to be a good researcher, then go for a particular domain. For example, if your domain is leadership, where you have the interest, and keep on reading good papers, uh, good papers published in leadership journals. Leadership Quarterly is a good choice. So, and while you are going through the paper, then try to be much focused at the future direction. As you understand the models of, so you can be quite clear about what future directions he is recommending. But lastly, again, try to follow the theoretical gap. So, student, uh, so here, these are some of the important websites, the links from where you can download papers. The reason is Google Scholar can just give you an idea, but better is these are the authentic sources. Anything which you're gonna get from these sources, you can follow the future directions. You can incorporate in your literature review. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, so you can email me. My email address is given, and feel free to contact me anytime, and enjoy. Thank you very much again. Allah Hafiz.